we want our essential human needs met. We want our energy needs met. We want our shelter, housing needs met. We want our food needs met. We want our water needs met. Those essential human needs we want met first and foremost, but we also want to enjoy the luxurious items in life. And so we all could be able to enjoy those things, but we're being held down. That's classic oppression, where it's deliberate. And nobody can argue this because I know what I'm talking about here. Okay, I've studied economics enough, and anybody who's taken an economics course, if you ask your professor if they're at all honest, ask them privately, or you could do it in front of the class and help educate the entire class. But ask a question like, look, teacher, professor, some clown said that, we could end desperate poverty all over the world in short order. And he cites that we're in this industrial age, and with mechanization and automation, it's easy to provide not only all the things that we need, again, the food, housing, water, and energy needs, but all the luxury items that satisfy those things that people want. They're the profligate, extravagant side of people, right? We all want to enjoy the niceties and things, right? Toys and things of recreational and artistic nature. Okay, whatever your mind could dream of. Okay, so ask a professor that, and the professor, if they're honest, they are going to know for sure, because they're going to at least know the teachings of John Maynard Keynes. They're going to at least know the teachings of Milton Friedman. They're going to at least know the teachings of Adam Smith, and they're going to have their own personal hands-on interaction with other professors. And they're going to be studied and researched and investigated things on their own if they're a good professor worth their salt. And in which case they'll come to their own conclusion that, yes, indeed, it's true. You could end desperate poverty all around the world, that everybody could at least have those 4 basic essential human needs that we all want. I mean, what's hard to understand? And who out there calling themselves a good American or a good Christian would ever withhold those things from others when it's totally unnecessary? There's absolutely no excuse, okay? And people that say, oh, well, all these people that believe in entitlement, the government should do this and that for them. Well, listen, I take great issue with that, because the government, whoever you define the government as, can't have its cake and eat it too. If they want to create the laws of the land down to the minutia that we all are forced to live under by mandate, then they can't tell people that they can't survive. Okay, fundamentally, I know that. I mean, I don't need the Constitution to tell me that. So I need to be able to get those things that first and foremost need to survive. I need shelter, I need water, I need energy, and I need food. Okay, that's it. That's all you really need. So the government, well, they don't have to give anybody anything. And I'd say I'd be in favor of getting rid of all the welfare out there. So that means your grandma goes off Social Security tomorrow. Okay, that's it. Once she used up what she paid into the system, no more. So Granny comes and lives with you, and you got to pay for everything for her because she can't work herself. She's old. She's feeble. And anybody with a handicap, the same thing. Let's get rid of no subsidies for anybody, because who are you to decide who should get and who should not get? Okay, it's an ungodly, unholy thing, and I don't want any part of it, because once you open that can of worms of inequality, it never ends. And so the only answer is to believe in equality, to believe in the Constitution, and this is handed from God. These entitlements are rights. A right is an entitlement. So to bandy a word like entitlement around, while not educating people to the idea that entitlement is also a right is an entitlement, is anti-educational. It's maleducation, it's malinformation, and I object loudly to it. So I think we've all got to be very clear on this issue. And all those things, all you people want for yourselves, okay, and your children, you must be willing that others have and their children have. And if you don't do that, then you're on the highway to hell. As far as I'm concerned, it's pretty clear from Scripture, from the teachings of Jesus Christ, that that is not okay. You are not right, okay? And you're a bad actor, and you're evil, You may not know it. You may think, oh, well, I'm a good and righteous person, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and I believe in the Bible. But if you don't believe in equal rights, okay, equal entitlements, then you're nobody. And I mean, we're going to start talking about who's ripping off the country here. Let's start with the banksters that have destroyed the worth of our currency. Not by accident, not because they're incompetent, by deliberation, by intent. And this is the way they keep people oppressed. It's like running in the sand. What's the use? If wages keep falling behind the cost of living, which has happened my whole life, I've watched this unfold. And there's been steps, increments they've taken that this has happened, like opening trade with China. I mean, why should we open trade with China, a country with such abysmal human rights? So what favor did Nixon do anybody by this cheap labor? He was just tapping into it. It was a big, huge business interest. That's all it helped was people that said, oh, we'll move to China and we'll import the goods to America and they will undercut the workers. Great way to oppress people. That's not going to help anybody in America by doing that. Anybody can figure that out unless you're going to put massive tariffs on it. So let's be honest about this thing, okay? And then going off the gold standard, any checks and balances, any oversight, okay, any accountability has been removed incrementally. They murdered JFK. Okay, so we could look at this thing in steps. I might be missing a few steps. Somebody else could point out to me. But it started, in my mind, with the assassination of JFK. He was abolishing the Federal Reserve. And remember, these people gladly murder to keep that kind of power. Okay, so in the heads of state, that means nothing. They think they're way above everybody. Remember, they think they're, the elite, that's the right thing. They think they're the gods of the world. Basically, they don't have any god above themselves and Lucifer, and they're swimming in that clean, clear water, and they're very clear. They believe what they believe, and that's it. And they act like it. And these people are great at deceiving people. When people really believe what they believe, people want to buy into it. Yeah, buy what Al Gore says, and buy what these people, they really believe it, but they're liars and cheaters. They've given themselves over to evil, basically, and that's why they can talk so coherently, so eloquently, and convincingly to people. And they're sickening. The Obamas of the world. Okay, I don't like these people. I don't like elitism. I love them because they're my brothers and sisters out there, and God loves them, and I've got to show that same love to love my enemy. But I have to excoriate them too. I have to say, look, you're evil. I have to warn them, like be the watchman of the tower. You're going to hell on a rocket. But, I'm just trying to point out how this country has been destroyed, how they've destroyed the hopes of the working class, regular people doing those jobs out there. And so many people will say, oh, you stupid minimum wage worker. Well, you want more, then you got to aspire. You got to get an education. You got to find another job. You got to get some skills and all this. But look, people doing skilled jobs, they're not making enough to get ahead either. People out there, the skilled carpenters out there, they're not making enough to be homeowners themselves, to buy the houses. They can't afford to buy the houses they're building. And so I'm tired. I feel like sometimes I'm throwing my pearls before swine. I really do. Like I'm beating my head against a wall. I'm shooting myself in the foot. I'm cutting off my nose to spite my face because I keep explaining this stuff over and over and over. But I feel compelled to. And it's so important, so imperative that people understand fundamental basic economic principles and understand the teachings of Christ when it comes to money. What he said, you can't serve God and money. That he said this is the root of all evil, this love of money. And we can see that's very evident, very obvious today, is that those are the people in charge. They love the money the most, and they're willing to do anything to keep their position in place. I was pointing out how they've taken these incremental steps, this gradual boiling of the frog, so to speak, of society at large, but mostly it falls on the backs of the poor, the weakest links in society. And those chains, those links keep snapping. As too many people are happy as long as they're still a strong link and the people in their circle are all still strong links because they're all part of some special interest group that's been benefiting from crony capitalism, which is contrary, quite the opposite. It's diametrically opposite of true capitalism. True capitalism produces wealth across the board, a rising tide of prosperity that lifts all ships. Okay, but the crony capitalism produces poverty. It produces wealth imbalance and wealth and income disparity. And it creates communism, rabid communism, and socialism. And this is all part of the plan. It's like, okay, yeah, we got them. They took the hook. And now they believe that, Everything's just falling apart because of incompetence, and it's blame capitalism when it really has got nothing to do with true capitalism. And that we need to set up these social welfare agencies to throw out some crumbs to the people to appease them so that they don't revolt, because they are not going to stand for seeing Granny out on the street. Because once we start pulling one social welfare program out there, Section 8, they ought to get rid of tomorrow. All of it. Just say, look, we can't throw out tens of millions of people out onto the street. Well, that's what I want. You want to play games? Let's play hardball here. Let's get real. Let's play. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. Because then you'll start understanding what a guy like me is saying, and that I'm not radical at all. Okay, that I am a fiscally conservative, prudent kind of fellow. You might say I have liberal tendencies, but did Jesus have liberal tendencies? What is written? You believe as a Christian? What did our founding fathers say? Okay, I'm a classic liberal, maybe, yeah. You could say I'm a leftist in that regard because, yes, I prescribe to generosity. And, Alex Jones, you could say that, they've done these studies and liberals are all cheap and all this stuff. Look, I don't buy it. I haven't seen that in my life. I've seen a lot of very generous liberals, to be quite honest. So I don't know who did that study, but I'd be more interested in hearing you keep reciting that statistic. And I'd like to know what the source is, and I'd like to look into that person or those people and see if they had any ulterior motive, because why should I trust one poll and not another? So I don't know if that's all true, that liberals are shown to be all these cheapskates, that they give to charity less and all that. I'd have to see that study, okay? So anyhow, yes, I believe in generosity. I believe if there's plenty of stuff and I'm the king of the world, why on earth would I withhold it from my subjects and being just a big fat a-hole for no logical reason? Knowing that the system would work fine and that all these people would be set free and they'd be happy. They'd be serving one another because they damn well wanted to, and the quality of their work would go through the roof because there'd no longer be these time constraints on people doing a good job in what they're doing. I say, hey, let's find some projects to do. I mean, people are so, well, got job creation, all this, and I'll find you some things to do. Let's build a bridge to Hawaii. How many people can we put on work of that? 2-lane highway, 2-lane bridge, right? So we'll never have any head-on wrecks. We'll have islands all along the way. How's that? Every 7 miles or so, we'll build an artificial island out there. Figure out how deep we got to go down to the bottom, and we'll figure it out. Maybe we can float some of these islands. There's no reason why we can't. Plenty of ships stay floating on the ocean. They can stay in one place, anchor them. Whatever we have to do, if it's really deep, so they're building artificial islands. This has been going on for a long time. It's nothing new. So where it's shallow, we could build artificial islands, beautiful islands. I mean, just think, we could create this awesome real estate out there, and we could have all these little restaurant chains and hotels along the way, and as far as like who's going to pay the bills, okay, who pays the bills? It is the regular working bee, the everyday person out there that goes to work, okay, that just contributes to the welfare of society, to the wheels of society being able to continue to turn. And things get done. They're going to get done. Prove me wrong. Let's push the envelope in that direction of prosperity for everybody, okay? We can do it. We can have whatever we want. We already have. I've done the research on my own. We already have a huge excess of housing in America. People say, well, how could that be when we have all this homelessness? Do the research yourself. Look into it. Look at how many houses are vacant, and available either for rent or for purchase. And you don't even have to include all the vacant hotels and motels out there, okay? So we could house all the homeless men, women, and child in America and still have 90+% of the vacant available housing left over. That's a matter of fact. So if you want to stand before God someday and you want to give any excuse at all, any rationale, and say, well, we just couldn't give the housing away, and because we believed in capitalism, and I'm trusting in capitalism is the answer, and you're going to stand before God with that argument, and you can say, well, I'm smarter than God, is an idiot, because God would set the captives free, and if they're not financially free, they're not free. So, that's up to you. But I think I've made as good an argument as I can for why the captives should be set free and how that day is coming. How this paradise is coming, this utopia, this heaven on earth, this perfect ideal state of being is the ultimate end game. Okay, that's what God has in mind and in planned, and nobody better stand in the way of that plan being accomplished. If you try to, then you will be obliterated. You will not be able to stand because you're trying to stand before God Almighty, the light of truth, of justice and mercy and all good things coming to the earth and to humanity, to decent, upright humanity that's hungering and longing and thirsting for righteousness to be the rule of the day in the